Hey, welcome to another video. This time we're going just completely off the cuff and talking about the newly announced Kamen Rider Geats. It is that time of year again. Our new Rider show has been confirmed. We got the trademark a little while ago, but obviously without anything other than that I couldn't really make a video. But as of yesterday when I record this anyway, we have the official announcement for our 2022-23 Kamen Rider, and his slightly awkward name is Kamen Rider Geats. So to begin with, what we know so far, plot synopsis-wise, is pretty wild. We have a survival game Kamen Rider series wherein multiple, like a lot of people it sounds like, are Kamen Riders. It sounds like everybody participating in this could potentially be a Kamen Rider. I don't expect all of them to have really unique forms like Geats. I imagine we will get a ride player style situation where there will be a lot of the same base suit going around, or even just only a handful of major characters who do have rider forms, like, say, Ryuki, which this sounds very much like, with all the survival game, or at least sort of deathmatch thing going on, like Ryuki did, to the point where even winning the game will grant you a wish. Technically, all the synopses say that it's to recreate the world in your choosing, but I would define that as a wish, more or less. So it is very reminiscent of Ryuki in that way. Although, given the fact that it says survival game, I do kind of wonder what kind of tone we'll be taking. Kamen Rider is still a kids show at the end of the day, so we can probably not expect it to get too heavy and still be kind of light occasionally, but you know, Ryuki got pretty heavy. Ryuki has one of the most tragic deaths for a rider of all time, if you ask me, with Kamen Rider Emperor, for as much as I didn't like him. And that was still, like, largely could be a pretty silly show, so I wonder about the tone for this. Especially so given that our head writer is Yuya Takahashi, who also did X-Aid, which is part of the reason I made the ride player comparison, but also just because it seems more likely to do that than have a whole bunch of unique riders, because if we're going to include a bunch of people involved in this to really give it a scale of a survival game, we're not going to be able to have, you know, tens of unique rider forms. There's probably going to be a generic, like, Riot Trooper, ride player kind of thing going on for a lot of them, with only main characters being given unique designs like Geats, which I know is a really totally not obvious take to have, but you know, I gotta get that bit out there. Also, given that the entire event is called the Desire Grand Prix, I almost wonder if we'll have a little bit of O's pastiche in there, with having a lot of focus on what you as an individual want, or just the wants of people in general as a theme. So there's a lot to potentially go into, a lot of reason for why individual characters might be wanting to participate in the Desire Grand Prix, why our main character, whose name is apparently Ace, is involved. So it's I think it's quite unique of a concept, despite the fact that we have done the Kamen Rider survival game before, again with Ryuki, with the Kamen Rider Chronicle arc in X-Aid as well, to a much smaller scale, and just the fact that survival game shows aren't super unique anymore, and it's not surprising that we're getting one given how absolutely enormous Squid Game was. But with Takahashi at the helm, I could see us getting something very unique and not entirely just being like everything else. Now, because we have only just had the general reveal and we don't have a lot of details quite yet, there's not a whole lot to go over, so I do want to end this just by talking about Geats' design. I think Reiwa has been knocking it out of the park with, like, base rider designs and just suits in general. Revice especially has had some of the best rider suits in a long time, if you ask me, and just based on this initial suit, Geats is totally following the exact same path. Geats looks gorgeous. He's themed after a white kitsune, hence kind of the name Geats. It sounds kind of like Keats, Not sure where the rest of the name comes from, but you can definitely see the influence in the design with the big ears and the white color scheme, and it's such a sleek, sick design. I love the mix of black and white and red. It kind of gives me some Fies vibes, and I know I'm not alone in that. Other people have been mentioning it, and I've seen a little bit of theorizing going around that maybe Smart Brain could be involved. Again, from what we know, there is no real evidence pointing towards that, but I could definitely see them going that route if they really wanted to, especially given that Geats does, at least in a very basic surface level area, share some similarities to Fies Rider's design. It also very much reminds me of Build, given how we know the gimmick works, where the two halves of the belt appear to control the top and bottom half of the suit, where you have the just two split sections like this, and I think that could create some very interesting mixes for forms, especially just not knowing what all they're going to be themed on. We don't know like what Geats' main form really is called, so there's a lot that could happen. There's a lot that could go in a bunch of different directions for designs, but I'm very, very happy with this design. I don't know if I like it quite as much as like Revi, but it is super solid, and I like that we're going still regularly with more simplistic-ish designs for Reiwa. I said that about 01 when 01 came out, that we were going for a more traditional, lighter design than how wild Heisei had gotten near the end of its run, and then Saber happened and immediately went completely crazy, and Revice has been kind of a mix of a little more basic and completely insane, and now we're kind of going into more general, more subdued designs, at least to start with, for Geats. I'm also a really big fan of those, like, exhaust pipes he's got on his boots. If we give him, like, a high-speed thing, then having, like, exhaust actually come out of those pipes while he's moving around, or to use them as, like, a rocket booster, maybe, to increase a kick, or even just as, like, jets for a rider kick would honestly be sick as hell. So there's a lot of design elements that I really dig here. We have finally the return of a scarf. We have not had a scarf on a rider design in what feels like forever. I guess Kamen Rider 02 sort of had one, but it was more evoking a scarf than a traditional scarf. This is like double style, flowing in the wind cloth, and I am always a fan of that. This is also a kind of weird thing to comment on, but the belt design itself is super sick. I get Kamen Rider Axel vibes from the sort of almost revving like bike handle on the one side of it, which is really funny given that the A in the logo for Geats also very much reminds me of Axel. So we have some parallels to all kinds of rider stuff here. We've got Ryuki in its concept, plus a little bit of Xaid. We have Fies in the suit design similarity, and we have a little bit of Drive, or I guess Drive also with the exhaust pipes potentially, and then we have a little bit of Axel with the belt. Also some double/build with the apparently two different halves of the belt of the suit being controlled by the belts. It's a lot of cool stuff, a lot of probably unintentional similarities to past rider shows, but I still think they're neat and interesting to note. So yeah, that is probably all I really have to say about Geats. Again, we're pretty light on general information right now. However, I dig what we're seeing so far. I'm always happy to see Takahashi back. I loved Xaid. I loved 01. So Takahashi, as far as I'm concerned, is an immediate, like, green flag, immediate let's go for a rider show. We can only hope that this one doesn't get cut short for any reason, because that's just sort of been a weird trend with Takahashi. Xaid got cut short, COVID happened, so, 01 got cut short a little bit, so hopefully nothing will affect Geats in this way. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what else we get. I especially really want to see what our other riders are going to look like, what the generic ride player, for lack of a better term right now, is going to be like, and especially who's going to be playing our main actor. The actor for Iki in Revice, whose name escapes me right now, unfortunately, has been incredible. and I always look forward to seeing who is our new rider, because we tend to get some, especially in Reiwa, we've gotten some pretty damn solid picks. I think we've had all really good main riders. So, yeah, I'm excited to see more. It's going to be an already long wait to September 4th. I'm going to be sad to see Revice go as well, but the coming of a new Kamen Rider show is always fun, and Geats looks like it's going to be, if nothing else, a unique Kamen Rider show that we haven't seen, at the very least, since Ryuki. So, I'm excited. Let me know what you think about Kamen Rider Geats. Do you think he's cool? Do you think he's lame? Are you sick of the survival game stuff? Do you just want it to go away? Do you not care about Kamen Rider at all? Who the hell knows? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It greatly helps me out. If you didn't, dislike it, I guess. And if you want to see more of what I put out, you can subscribe and ring the bell to get notifications, because we all know that YouTube is not going to properly let you know in the sub box when I upload a new video. Alternatively, you can follow me on Twitter, where I tweet a lot of the stuff that I tend to talk about in videos and when I upload new videos. So that is probably the best way to know when I'm uploading new stuff, is over on Twitter, because that is where I just go, hey, I uploaded a thing. So there is that. And the last thing to shill is mandatory, the Patreon. I have one. If you want to go over there and donate and get some perks, you can, and it helps support me. If you can't or don't want to, that is perfectly understandable, and you do not need to. Just watching the videos and sharing them is more than enough support, and all I can ever ask for. But it is there if you decide you want to do a little bit more. So, yeah, that's going to do it, and I will see you guys next time.